hereby given that the Wyoming Business Council is seeking grant and loan applications from counties, incorporated cities, towns, joint powers boards, and tribes for the 2022 Business Ready Community BRC Grant and Loan Program. The intent of the program is to ready a community for new business development through economic or educational development projects, which may include but are not limited to water, sewer, streets and roads, telecommunications, airports, purchase of rights-of-way, purchase of land, buildings, facilities, industrial and business parks, industrial site or business district development, amenities within a business or industrial park, landscaping, recreation and convention facilities, and or other physical projects. The rules governing BRC grant and loan program are available on the Wyoming Business Council's website, http://www.wyomingbusiness.org. The City of Laramie proposes to submit an application for the BRC Business Committed Grant to support the construction of a research and development facility for Plenty Unlimited Incorporated in the Sierra Sky Business Park, and is seeking citizen input regarding this project. The Laramie City Council will hold a public hearing on August 30th at 6:00 p.m. The hearing will take place via Zoom webinar, ID number 833-1668-5477, passcode 993052. Citizens can also submit written comments to the City of Laramie. All written comments must be received no later than 5:00 p.m. on August 30th, 2022. The Laramie City Council will take all comments into consideration before considering a resolution in support of the submitted application for a 2022 BRC Business Committed Award. All information relative to this matter is available for review at the City of Laramie City Clerk's office at 406 Ivinson Avenue, Laramie, Wyoming. Anyone wishing to be heard should be present or may be represented by his or her agent at the meeting.
Thank you, City Clerk. So that public hearing is open. And we are waiting to hear from anyone that would like to make a comment. Of course, I should emphasize that you will be able to speak on this item when it comes up during the regular agenda and possibly do so with more information, but public comment is open for the public hearing.
Mayor, just as a reminder to those that are watching, there is the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen.
Helpful reminder. All right, we don't have any takers. We will close the public hearing for now. And I want to repeat that we'll have, of course, an opportunity to receive public comments and input on this during the regular agenda progress. So, with that said, let's call to order this special meeting of the Laramie City Council for August 30th, 2022. And City Clerk, if I could have you just read the announcement for the special meeting as well.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing and special meeting of the Laramie City Council will be held Tuesday, August 30th, 2022 at 6:00 p.m. via Zoom meeting ID 833-1668-5477, passcode 993052 for the following purpose. Public hearing, which we just completed, was number 1, 2022 Business Ready Community Grant and Loan Program applications for a business committed project to support the construction of a new research and development facility for Plenty Unlimited Incorporated in Laramie. And the special meeting item, number 1, Resolution 2022-54, authorizing the submission of a 2022 Business Ready Community Grant and Loan Program applications for a business committed project to support the construction of a new research and development facility for Plenty Unlimited Incorporated in Laramie.
Thank you, City Clerk. Did you have a little deja vu there from just a few minutes ago? I think maybe you did. I appreciate that very much. I'd ask anyone to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance if they wish. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Can we have a roll call? Members present, City Clerk.
Cumby.
Here.
Gabriel.
Here.
Harrington.
Here.
O'Doherty.
Here.
Schmickel.
Here.
Schuster.
Here.
Somerville.
Here.
Pierce.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
That's 9 present and 0 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, City Clerk and Council. All City Council members are present. We'll now have public comment on non-agenda items. Just following our format. I know that we're probably eager to get to the special meeting item, but we'll see if there's public comment on non-agenda items for the time being. Seeing none, we'll close the non-agenda item public comment period. That will bring us into the business item number 2E. Chair is going to recognize Council Member Schmeckel.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve Resolution 2022-54, authorizing submission of a grant application by the City of Laramie, Wyoming, to the Wyoming Business Council for a business-committed award in an amount not to exceed $20 million for the construction of a building in Cirrus Sky Business Park to support the expansion of Plenty Unlimited Incorporated, retaining 65 jobs and creating up to 125 new jobs added to the Laramie and Wyoming economy, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
So a motion and a second from Council Member Schuster. Now I'd like to recognize the City Manager.
Hello, Council. Is my connection good? You can hear me okay? Very good. Thank you, Mayor. I will open up the discussion tonight with a little bit of background on the project. I anticipate then turning this over to the Laramie Chamber Business Alliance through their CEO and President, Brad Enzi. And we also have representatives from the Plenty Unlimited Incorporated business with us this evening also. So starting off with some background information, Council, as you know, the Laramie community and our municipal government are well acquainted with our corporate citizen Plenty Unlimited Incorporated. The Business Ready grant before you this evening would support Plenty's expansion and establish Laramie as the company's hub for plant science research and development. It would also create employment opportunities for our residents and contribute to the community's overall prosperity. So with that said, I'm excited to talk a little bit about the grant. As you know, Plenty's Chief Science Officer and co-founder, Dr. Nate Story, completed his PhD in plant science while at the University of Wyoming. That research at the university was initially commercialized by Bright Agrotech, a company he founded in Laramie in 2010. And you will find familiar many of you who were present on the council a few years ago when the city, working with LCBA and the Wyoming Business Council, was able to secure some initial support for Bright Agrotech in 2015. That initial support for Bright Agrotech added 30 plus jobs into the community starting in 2015. And you'll recall that in 2017, Bright Agrotech merged with Plenty. This company's grown very quickly with 2 commercial production farms now located in South San Francisco and in Compton, California. As you probably also are well aware, since we are all well acquainted with the company, Plenty is backed by a consortium of top technology and sustainability investors and has credited its success largely to the existing plant R&D facility, plant science R&D facility that is here in Laramie. The completion and construction of a new R&D center, which is what this grant would provide for, is estimated to take between 18 18 to 24 months if the grant is awarded by the Wyoming Business Council and then approved by the State Land and Investment Board. As noted in the resolution and cover sheet, we currently have about 65 full-time jobs in Laramie, and the expansion of the R&D facility would add an additional 125 full-time primary jobs by 2028 over a 6-year period. Might be also of note to you that many of the local workers are anticipated to be hired through an internship to employment pipeline, as well as recent graduates from the University of Wyoming. LCBA is our partner, as you know, excuse me, in economic development. They have pledged a grant cash match for this project of $500,000, $500,000. The city will act as the applicant and recipient for the grant. We'll be providing staff support, including grant administration, accounting, project management, reporting, and other technical support in a partnership with the Chamber Business Alliance. The plan for recaptured funds, these are the net revenues that would come in over the term of the 6-year lease purchase agreement. Those net revenues or recaptured revenues will be shared between LCVA as the project owner and the owner of the lot that they will dedicate in addition to the grant match. They will share those net revenues as per Wyoming Business Council rules at a 75-25% split rate over the lifetime of the project. And LCBA has assured us that the percentage that they retain will then 80% of that be reinvested for future economic development projects under that sort of pay it forward to the future model that we see throughout Wyoming, and certainly in the many projects that the city and LCBA have partnered on over the years. With that, I don't want to steal too much thunder from the rest of our folks on the call tonight. So with that, I'm happy to stand for questions, Council. And if you have no questions from me, I will turn it over to LCBA.
Council members, do we have any questions for the city manager before we move on? It doesn't look like it. Thank you for the background, city manager. Let's go ahead and invite Mr. Enzi from the Laramie Chamber Business Alliance into the meeting. Welcome, Mr. Enzi. You have the floor.
One of those ultimate Zoom panics when it says you're rejoining as a panelist and then it goes away for a second. I wasn't sure I was going to rejoin anything for a hot minute. Mayor Weaver, members of the council, City Manager Jordan, thank you for having this meeting and really entertaining the promulgation of success in Laramie. I think the city manager hit the kind of the main points of Plenty and its growth. The one difference is they're growing so fast that between the first generation of these documents and now they're at 71 jobs locally and growing. So it's a rapidly growing company in a globally important sector and marketplace with how are we going to feed the world in a water, energy, and space efficient manner over the next generations. Since the time that the company was founded in town, it's found this growth, it's found partners, it's had a lot of success. It's also been courted by 2 other states, which have tried to pull them away. I don't think that that's a surprise. People would like to see that success in their backyard, and we would like to continue to have that success here. As the city manager mentioned, we have pledged the $500,000 match, which the origin of those funds is really our partnership with the city and the business council in previous projects and being able to reinvest those monies as we roll forward, kind of in a model of success breeds success over time. It plays very well with our work that we've been doing in the specialty food sector, where we've recently partnered with a gluten and allergen-free bakery. We see this as an extension of kind of that work and really a good way to plant a flag for Laramie in this space. But the story isn't necessarily Laramie, Wyoming, or the Business Alliance. It's really Plenty and what Nate Story and his team have been able to do to really change the world, the way that the world's going to be fed. The projected project will have an additional 125 jobs over the course of about 6 years. Those jobs aren't just, they range everything from people that help service the growth facilities to plant scientists, and it's really to build a high-level science community around the development of plant science. Those jobs will come from UW grads. They'll come from worldwide talent recruitment, and bring that hub of innovation and science here to our local community. The kind of last couple points is these types of opportunities don't happen without a very fluid partnership between the city, the local economic development agency, and tonight we've got CEO Josh Durrell of the Business Council with us, and members of his staff. And it's really how we partner together to attract these centers of excellence to encourage a type of growth in our community. And that's really what's happening right now here in Laramie. This type of company aligns directly with our desire locally to diversify our economy, increase primary jobs, increase our tax base, and really leverage that relationship with the university to the commercialization of these important technologies and how it leverages out not only across Wyoming and the region, but really across the globe in this instance. We're very excited about the project and appreciate your support and listening and hearing the grant application. With that, I'd stand for any questions, and I know Nate Story's on the call, as is Josh Durrell with the Business Council and several members of his staff.
Thank you, Mr. Enzi. And if Mr. Durrell or Mr. Story or the staff members want to join us to add some comments or potentially be on hand to answer some questions, just raise your hand in your attendees room, and the city clerk will let you in. And we're happy to hear from you. Any questions for Mr. Enzi right now? I think you've given us a good background as well, Mr. Enzi. Appreciate that. Appreciate the enthusiasm on the overview. And let's see if we have anyone else who would like to speak. I'm going to go to Mr. Story first because he appears to be ready to go in a number of ways. And we'll turn it over to you, Mr. Story. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, council members, mayor, city manager, much appreciated. Really excited at the possibility of this. You know, I've lived in Laramie for most of my adult life. Love Laramie. Really don't want to move out of Laramie. Got my kids in Laramie, and you know, we've hired a lot of folks and built a hell of a business, all in Laramie. You know, I'm obviously excited about my business, but I'm certainly hoping that the community can get excited about our business too. Because it's not just about ag or energy, it's about the future, and it's about opening the doors, especially for young folks that want to get into this type of thing, making it possible for them to engage in a new industry, an industry that's cutting edge, this technology, and has its roots all over the world at this point, but fundamentally is made from all of the good stuff that makes Wyoming great, energy and ag, and the values that we all love about our community. So I'm very excited about this, and I'm excited to have your support. I'll hand it off to Josh if he wants to speak, or whoever else.
Let's see if anybody wants to ask you questions, Mr. Story, if that's all right with you. But I appreciate what you've had to say to the council here very much. It's good to see you again. Any questions for Mr. Story? Yes, Councilmember O'Doherty.
I was wondering what happens to all the experimental food that you're growing. Is there any chance of having actual local food in Laramie? Thanks.
You know, that is a great question. Most of the product that comes out of the experiments, we don't sell it because it is experimental product. It is not. It's not grown in a food-safe facility. We don't kind of jump through the hoops necessary to sell it as a food-safe product. But we donate it to local farms that compost it and use it for animal feed. And so if you buy from some of the local producers, you're indirectly consuming our product.
Any follow-up, Councilmember O'Doherty? Mr. Story, if I could have a little follow-up there. it's one thing to say that the food isn't grown in what the federal government would regulate and certify as a food safe facility, but that shouldn't be a reason to interpret it as unsafe in any way to make uses of, as you just outlined for us, right?
That's correct.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Any other questions for Mr. Story before I think we'll maybe go to Mr. Durrell next? Yes, Councilmember Gabriel, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Nate, we've had a little background previously about this proposal, and I was just wondering if you might expand a little bit more about what, we know what Brad talked about. If you expand a little bit more about what this really means to you and your company, down the road, it's going to take maybe a couple of years to get built and formulated and all that, construction wise, but down the road a few years, what this is going to mean for your company.
You bet. So, this could be a very long story or a very short story, but the short story, because I'm sure most of you have a little bit of background on Bright Agritech, is this business and this industry, in my opinion, has really started in Laramie. Really has its roots in Laramie. It has its roots at the WTBC. Fred was there at the time, so he can be my witness. But Laramie was kind of the birthplace of this industry, as far as I'm concerned. And this industry has grown up. We've obviously changed the business. We're not Bright Agritech anymore. Plenty is kind of the dominant business now in this space, and I helped start that company. And it's dominant because we've built a great team, and much of that team was retained from Bright Agritech. So many of those folks came over from Bright Agritech and helped build the science team and kind of the backbone for the technical team that drives Plenty forward. So Plenty is one of the few businesses in this space that is a technology business, as opposed to a systems integrator, meaning most of the other folks in the space will buy things off the shelf and they'll plug them together, and because they're basically just trying to grow plants indoors. They think that that's the hard part. We know that growing plants indoors is the easy part. The hard part is doing it economically, and that's really driven by research and development. The ability to improve your yield, the ability to get cost out of your system, to design more efficient equipment. And all of that work today, or the seeds for that work, happens in Laramie. Now, as we've grown and as we've become a little bit more well-known in the space, other states have come around and started saying, hey, do you want to come build an R&D center there? We're kind of faced with this hard decision. It kicked off the conversation with the state of Wyoming, with Josh, with Brad, with other folks who have engaged in this process with us around how the state of Wyoming could be competitive from an offer standpoint with some of these other states, in order to convince my shareholders that this was a good deal, because Laramie's not known as a center for plant science. It's not known as a technology hub. I think that can change. And I think that there's a future where Laramie is known. And when I say I live in Laramie, I work in Laramie, people know where that is and what that means. And I believe that we can build that. So all of that to say, very long answer to your question there, but this is probably one of the most meaningful things to my side of the business that I can think of. We're currently operating out of the building in West Laramie and a bunch of rented space in Alsop. So we're renting space in a warehouse that was really designed for distribution and storage. And the ability to build a world-class facility, to hire in world-class folks, that is a big deal. And I will tell you the truth, today I struggle to get the very best scientists to move to Laramie. Scientists are motivated by facilities. They're motivated by the opportunity to do cutting-edge research. And even though I've got some great facilities and we have some great tools, we don't have the sparkling new facility. We don't have the ability to really attract folks that are maybe attracted to more metropolitan areas or more established programs. And so I see this as a first and meaningful step towards building the facility that allows us to get great scientists in from all over the place, allows us to retain great kids graduating from University of Wyoming who want to stay in Laramie, who want to work in Laramie, who are excited about this field, and allows us to build on the base that we've been diligently building here at Laramie for the last 10 years almost.
Any follow-up? Mr. Story, since you're here, can I ask you a question that's a little bit out of left field? I read an article 2 days ago about plant growing in space and different experiments conducted by the different agencies, the International Space Center, some research that the Chinese are doing. Is that something that your company is looking at working on or is already involved in, which is some research and development to growing agriculture in out of orbit environments?
I think that it's inevitable. So, we do work with a lot of NASA genetics today, and we've had a number of different interactions with NASA and with other folks that are interested in space. And I personally believe that what we're doing is, in a very fundamental way, opening ag up to almost any environment, including space, right? So if you think about what we're doing, we're taking prime farmland in California and we're figuring out how to manufacture it in Wyoming. We are manufacturing real estate. That is the fundamental nature of our business. And so the reality is we can manufacture that land anywhere. We can manufacture it in Wyoming, in Singapore, in space, you name it, on Mars. Doesn't matter where it's at. We can manufacture it. If we have water and we have people and we have power, we can grow.
For attaining an unusual
I'm afraid you're freezing up.
Okay, so while Mayor Weaver is...
I think we're back.
Okay.
They were just in a stop and start situation. Mr. Story, I appreciate your answers to those questions and your willingness to answer questions. If the internet connection is stabilized and everything's okay, I wonder if we might now turn it over to Mr. Durrell. Mr. Durrell, do you have anything you'd like to add for us this evening? Please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council. Thank you for hearing this tonight and being participants in what is today Plenty's growth already. And what's really exciting about this is, as we've mentioned, is the path that this company has taken. And it's a path that we want to encourage at the state of Wyoming and within the university system, and to develop projects like these more often. And so for the folks at Laramie Chamber Business Alliance, the folks at Plenty, the folks at the Wyoming Business Council, and the city, we've all worked hard to hopefully make this come to fruition. One of the things that's important to note is that projects like these don't necessarily come around all the time. And what I mean is that these homegrown projects that come about and continue to grow, it's important for us to remember that we need to keep them in the state. And I think that Mr. Story mentioned that there were other suitors asking for them to leave the state and to go in other places where they could grow and of course, according to their calculations, grow more profitably and easily and all of those things. And we know that to maybe not be true. And we know that Wyoming is the place to do this. But it's important for us to not forget that the companies that are here in the state need just as much attention. They need just as much really policy and funding and leadership as those that we're trying to attract from outside of this state. The ones that we attract from outside of the state always seem to get a lot of headlines and always seem to be the ones that people think about. But it's really important to know that the business retention and expansion efforts that go on every day by economic developers like Mr. Enzi and Mr. Boudreau here in Laramie are really important to the state, because they take those 65 jobs, they keep them here, or 71, excuse me, they keep them here, and then they allow them the opportunity to grow. And I think that's really exciting. Now, for us at the state, we want to continue to encourage that growth. And we also want to encourage that pathway from an idea at the university all the way through. And as Mr. Story mentioned, that's something that we take very seriously. We do our best to support that path. And again, we want to see this feather in the cap of Wyoming, and not just as the end point. I think one of the things that we tend to think of is that this is the end of the project. You know, we approve it, the project gets built, all of those things happen, and that's the end of the economic development. It's actually just the beginning. It's the part of the economic development that has to happen, but then the hard work begins for Mr. Story and his team to continue to develop that, and then for Mr. Enzi and his team to continue to build around that cluster. And I think that's why we're so excited about this project, is we see it as a real opportunity to develop that cluster, to really develop an industry that is new and exciting and can make a huge impact on not just Wyoming, but we think the world. And so to be part of that is pretty darn exciting, I think, for all of us at the state, but of course, all of the folks in Laramie as well can see that as a real positive and something that that other places don't have. So again, I stand for any questions about our programs, about how the state works on these things, and how we're the next steps of the process. But again, I just appreciate the support, not only by the city, but also by the Laramie Chamber Business Alliance and the work that they've done to put this together in working with Nate's team and my team to bring it this far.
Questions from Mr. Durrell? Mr. Durrell, I appreciate your comments about your co-equal mission at the Business Council to not only attract new businesses into the state and our communities in the state, but also at the same time, and in equal measure, support existing businesses and expand on existing business ideas. I don't think people hear enough about that mission, which I think, frankly, to people in Wyoming might be one that they value more in some instances and in some circumstances. So I appreciate those comments very much. This is a great example of that. Do we have anyone else, any guests this evening that have comments they'd like to share? I see Heather Tupper's here. I don't know, Heather, if you want to add anything to that, or if you're here simply as a supporter of this project and as a member of WBC staff. So,
yeah, Mr. Mayor, just here as support and support Mr. Durrell and anybody who might have other questions if there was anything I could help with. But yes, so nice to see you all. But if you have questions, I'm happy to take them too.
Yeah, greatly appreciated. Not trying to put you on the spot, but felt like letting people know you were here backing up this project. And certainly, I'm sure you've had a lot of work with it heretofore as well. So we appreciate that. All right. Should we go to public comment at this point, Council, and see if there are public comments from our guests? Okay, let's do that. We may even allow a few questions depending on how appropriate they are. And we have questions and comments. I will just take them in order. I have a screen name, Caitlin H. And you have the floor. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, I'm the new Director of Governmental and Community Affairs for ASUW at the University of Wyoming. And I just wanted to leave a comment saying that I believe this project would be very supported by students at the university. I know that student government has been working on encouraging graduates to stay in Wyoming after completing their degrees. And I believe that this would encourage them to want to stay for the job opportunities and advances that are happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I just ask you, Director, to just give your full name for the public record, please?
Yes, Caitlin Rose Heddens.
Thank you very much. And we really appreciate your taking time to be here and share that perspective from the student government leadership. That's great to hear. Next up, we have Dave Coffey. Let's let Mr. Coffey in for comments. And Mr. Coffey, when you see your screen name there, you've got the floor. Thank you for being here.
Am I on?
You're a go.
Great. Thank you for having me, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to chime in with some positive comments. As we all know, the council has done some great work in trying to make it easier for housing to be to be developed in Laramie, and I think projects like this are really going to help in the long run help developers take a strong look at Laramie as a potential place to invest their money and develop more housing. I think this is in the short term, we may have a little bit of a challenge finding folks for these new employees to live, but I think shortly we're going to find that a lot of new houses are going to start showing up, and developers taking more full advantage of the programs and the changes to code that council have put into place. So I'm very supportive of this project, and I really appreciate Nate for allowing his business to stay here. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you, Mr. Coffey. I can say that I appreciate your tying in that housing issue with your comments here as well. And of course, that's one of those opportunities to make note of what we hope, which is that a rising tide lifts all boats, particularly in that housing sector, and that can be the case. So we're hopeful about that. Do we have any other public comments on our item? Seeing none, council members, I'm going to go back to you for any comments or questions that you may have thought of at this point. And we've got hands up and eager comments. We're going to go to leave your hand up so I know what order to go in. And I'm going to go to Councilmember Schmeckel first, then Schuster, then Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor, and it's good to see everyone on this call this evening. I think I know everybody here except for Caitlin, and it's a pleasure to get to know you. I just wanted to say that I've been working with this material for slightly longer than most people. And Nate, I think back to a particular late evening there in the incubator when Heather was your wife drawing on the whiteboard as you laid out your vision for what you wanted this company to be. And it struck me as how remarkably accurate that was a decade ago when we did that. I think that there is a tremendous story to be told here, as you were hinting at earlier, about the fact that there's a powerful message for our young people, that there's not only opportunity that they can make themselves here, but there is a support system to help them, and that Laramie is the community where they are best going to grow because of investments like this. I'm deeply thrilled that this is before us here this evening, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this council votes on it.
Thank you, Councilmember Schmeckel. Councilmember Schuster.
Thank you very much. Great to see this. I almost feel like they're neighbors because my house is right out by that park there. Just excited to see you join there. And then I work in West Laramie, probably about the same distance from you over there in the park already. So just feel like it's great to see it. I hope everything goes great. I know there's a lot of signatures that still need to be done, but I'm super excited to see you guys in both spots. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Schuster. Councilmember Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a quick minute, thank Mr. Enzi and Mr. Durrell, their staffs and boards for probably the considerable amount of effort that went into bringing this before us today. And then Mr. Story wanted to acknowledge probably the effort it took you to convince shareholders that Laramie was worth pursuing all of this extra work over. So I wanted to acknowledge that as well. I'm optimistic. I think this is great. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Pierce.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to add to Councilor Harrington's. This was a bit of a lift, and I so appreciate all the work that goes on behind the scenes from our city staff to the folks over at all the entities that are involved in this effort. So thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Story, for coming home.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Pierce. Other comments? All right. I have one. which is that I hope this, I intend to support this, which probably doesn't come as a shock to anyone. I'll be voting for this. I hope this is the first of a series of what I would call positively consequential votes moving forward for this, and what it's going to mean for the community and for future business development in Laramie. And I think I can safely speak for the council when I say those things. I think we all have that wish and have some optimism that that's the outcome. So, City Manager, I have a question for you. Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to catch you right there. What are the next steps that the council may need to be aware of moving forward? I understand, of course, there'll be a meeting before the SLIB board at some point, but what are some of the other next steps that the council might want to be aware of so they can continue to support this project and what they might be expecting?
Thank you, Mayor. That is a great question. So upon your approval of this resolution tonight, assuming that is the case, this application will be submitted to the Wyoming Business Council. The Wyoming Business Council Board of Directors will consider the grant request at their meeting on September 8th. And then the State Land and Investment Board, we hope, will concur with the Business Council's positive recommendation for this funding at their meeting on October 6th. So for council, things that you should be mindful of is those dates, I think. September 8th and October 6th are currently the dates we believe we will be seeking approval for this application, and your presence at those meetings. I don't know at this point if they're going to be a hybrid format or in person or just Zoom, but we'll certainly keep you apprised of that as we learn more. And if you're able to attend and support the project and with that show of force from Laramie, I think that would be very advantageous for us.
Thank you, City Manager. The lay of the land here can always be supplemental and helped along with the resolution. The resolution, of course, being the big thing there, an expression from the City Council in support of this. Thank you for that. Any other further questions or comments? Well, Council, that'll bring us now to a roll call vote. So I'll go to the City Clerk for that.
Humby.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Schmeckel.
An emphatic yes.
Schuster.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Mayor, that's 9 yeses and 0 nos.
And that motion carries. Thank you, City Clerk. Members, thank you to Mr. Story, or I believe I heard Dr. Story, Mr. Enzi, for everyone from the Business Council that spoke this evening. We appreciate hearing all we. At this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Council.
I'm sorry, Mayor, you're breaking up so bad, but I believe it was to me. So I move that we adjourn this special meeting.
Second.
That's what I. Councilmember Schuster, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned. Thank you again. Good evening.